Emma Bonino, you have most recently served as Italy Minister of Foreign Affairs. Previously, you were a member of the European Parliament and a member of the Italian Senate. You served in the government of Italy as Minister of International Trade between the years 2006 and 2008. You are a leading member of the Italian Radicals, a political party. You've been a woman on the front lines and still are. Did you shoot and aim for that, or things happened naturally?
No, things happen. And I think that politics get hold of me, not vice versa. And it happened more or less by chance. I was 27. I had to undergo a clandestine abortion in my country. It was 1974. Abortion was illegal, was a crime on the penal code. The result is that most of the women in need had to undergo a clandestine abortion, which is not safe, of course, humiliating, very expensive. And so after that experience, I decided that, khalas, that's too much. I was a good woman, 27, I was working. I simply wanted to choose my life. And so I joined other small group, remember 1974. We live next to the church and next to the Pope.
I believe none of the ladies were born. None of the ladies who are present today were born by then.
I think that different from when I attend the conferences in Europe, the average here is luckily very low. We are an old continent, and I'm also getting old, so they say. And I said that cannot be. So I joined another small group of women who wanted to fight, who had won the divorce law, and started the legalization abortion campaign.
Sure. You have drawn the path of your life, and you have chosen what to make out of your life. 40 years after 40 years of political engagement and activism, how do you assess your own struggle?
Oh, I don't assess. I'm too young, and it's not, the time has not yet come for me to make a sort of a summary, a sort of an assessment.
How do you evaluate what you have done so far?
Not so bad, I would say. But with more support, we could have achieved more. But in any case, both in making the Italian society evolving, in making Europe more concrete back in the 90s, in trying to foster bridges with the south of the Mediterranean. I keep saying that the Mediterranean basically is not a sea. It's a very small lake. If you look it from outside, it's a very small lake that unites us, does not separate us. And that's one of the reasons why, for instance, beginning from this morning and knowing a lot of people and friends in the room, I really feel home. Because in some way, North and South Mediterranean, we have sort of a common way. For instance, family. Different from other European countries, also in Italy, family is the basis of society.
We share so many values. And besides that, you came to the Arab world, you lived in Egypt, in Cairo, so you were open to the Arab culture, to the Arab language. And now, we're going to talk about that later on. I'm going to go back to your own struggle. You have fought several battles for civil rights, for individual freedom, liberty, such as divorce, abortion, drugs, sexual freedom, religious freedoms. You have fought for an end to the capital punishment against female mutilation and the eradication of world hunger.
I'm not sold. Don't make a full list.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm young, by the way.
So you deserve a big applause.
Huh?
You deserve a big applause.
Well,
when you think about all of that, what do you consider to be your biggest reward?
I think to make people and women particularly understand that things can change. It's not that we receive a sort of a destiny to which we cannot escape. And that it needs a lot of work and lots of commitment, a lot of engagement, a lot of effort. But if I look back to my country 50 years ago, I cannot even recognize it. Not because we have changed the structure. The structure, again, like you, is still the family. But I think we have all come to understand that also family change. Also family needs a change, an update, if you want. And I think that this changing mind is important, even if we are a Catholic country. But that has not so much to do with religion. It has to do with personal courage and personal affirmation of the right to choose. So I think that this is, let alone the other specific, the International Criminal Court, the moratorium on death penalty, the fight with you against female genital mutilation, and that's okay. But the most important thing, the message is, listen, friends, things can change. It's difficult, and if you can change things, you must try.
You make them change.
No, you must try.
They cannot change naturally.
Doesn't mean that you succeed always. I've lost most of my political fights, so.
You mentioned earlier that you had an illegal abortion at the age of 27, or in 1974 precisely. You have been behind the legalization of the abortion in Italy. And weirdly, 2 years ago, the Pope Francois praised you, which led to the pro-life leaders in Italy to say, how can a Pope praise a woman that is best known in Italy for practicing illegal abortion and promoting abortion? Do you believe that today...
First of all,
excuse me.
Please.
My question. Do you believe that a new perspective towards abortion is about to be adopted by the Vatican?
No. Everybody has to make his own mestiere. The Pope is the Pope. My name is Emma Bonino. Politics is politics. Media is media. Public opinion is public opinion. So don't mix roles.
Everything is overlapped without even trying to mix them.
Exactly.
We don't need a blender.
No, but politics is there exactly to put the rule by which everybody can live his own choices, his own life, independently on the religion, on culture, on... So that's why a system, to be democratic, has to be secular. Because if you are secular, means that everybody can exercise his own religion, provided that it doesn't harm to others. So there is a freedom of conscience. But I wanted to go back to your question. I was not promoting abortion. And I don't think abortion is a civil right. The civil rights is the right to choose if, when, how many times you want to be mother. The best option is family planning. Of course. Sometimes it is too late. That's why you have to legalize abortion. But the point is the right to choose motherhood, and the best way is family planning. So I don't think abortion per se is a right. It's a tool, a very tough tool, makes a lot of psychological pain, but sometimes you cannot avoid it. So that is my point. The real right is the right to choose and family planning.
With your own points of views, with your own ideas and opinions, how do you assess or how do you read the fact that the Pope has hosted you? It has a meaning.
It has a meaning with this Pope, who is a Pope that is more inclusive, that is not there to judge people. Even on homosexuality, he said, who I am to judge. somebody who is more inclusive, who understands the fragility of people. And my family, differently from me, most of my family are religious. And previously they felt scary to go to the church, to be reprimanded by a very tough clergy. Now they feel more accepted. They feel they are considered fragile human beings who can make sin or not make sin. And this Pope is more inclusive, and I think that what he has appreciated for me is not exactly the civil rights, but I think my dedication to refugee, humanitarian crisis, the problem of refugee and immigrants in my country and in Europe, who are treated so badly, frankly speaking. It is no, I want to be clear, I do not appreciate how we are managing this issue, which is a problem, but is a manageable problem. It's not an invasion, it's not anything of this stupidity who go around. And I would like sometimes to ask some of my colleagues to come maybe here in Jordan so that they will find a country with 600,000, 700,000, 800,000 refugees, or 1 million and plus refugees in Lebanon, so that maybe we can feel a little bit ashamed in saying, oh, they are invaded, which is not true. So we are politicizing the issue for internal consumption, and in so doing, creating even more problem, politically speaking, not to talk on humanitarian suffering.
You have stated that the refugees issue is not a crisis, it's rather an opportunity. And definitely it's a debatable subject.
No, I think it's
where do you see the opportunity, and where do you see the negative facet?
No, I think it's a problem. We should not deny it. But
I'm stating what you said.
Maybe a crisis, no, I'm sorry. I wanted to say it's a problem, particularly when it's hundreds of thousands of people with different culture coming to a country who has never had an empire. We Italians are not used to, and basically we have been a country of millions of immigrants. My mother kept telling me that she has never seen a black people in her life, because we have been immigrants by millions, and just recently we are, let's say, a country of immigration for evident reason, by the way. But I think it should be manageable, not only in my country, but in Europe. Europe is 500 million citizens. According to all the standards, it's still one of the wealthiest continents worldwide, not only on GDP, but on life expectancy, education, welfare system, and et cetera, freedom, with all the limitations, because slow down, it's not. Little bit of humility can help us also. And by the way, the fact that we cannot integrate 1 million people is not true. It's not true. Just remember that from 1993, Germany, following the war in Yugoslavia, accepted 4 million refugees. In Italy in 2007, we accepted 500,000 without any particularly dramatic problem, 2007. And we are in a dramatic demographic decline. Germany, Italy, Spain, Portugal, Bulgaria, we are in a basically dramatic decline. In face of us, there is a kindergarten. Think of Morocco, Algeria, yourself, Egypt, much more, Turkey, with a demographic explosion, which has to become a problem for you also, I think, with not proportionate economic development to absorb all these people. So apart war, torture, repression, apart whatever, there is a global mobility which is due for the same reason by which my grandfather left Italy, to look a better life for their own family. It's as simple as that. And they were rejected 3 times, and they tried the 4th times, till when they managed to go to Belgium, by the way. So I think that if we could be at political level and much more reasonable, we should sit down and see how we manage this fantastic disproportion that is a source of crisis for us, but also for you. And I have a very simple long-term answer: empowering women. If you want to slow down the demographic explosion, there is no sterilization, compulsory sterilization, and all this doesn't work. The real answer in the midterm is empowering women on all their aspects: career, professions, civil liberties, name it. On the contrary, this subject is a taboo for us, but I also think that still here in these countries are not so openly discussed. So in many countries that I love in the South Mediterranean, to talk sex is not so easy.
Not anymore.
It doesn't mean that the women don't make sex. No, luckily. I mean another thing. So it's not so easy. It's not so easy in many countries talking of legalizing abortion, family planning, freedom of choice. In many countries there's still divorce, but even in Ireland, by the way. So let's say the path of women empowerment and women freedom has still a long way to go in many parts of the world, starting from my country, where, for instance, assisted pregnancy was not allowed. Now it is. And to come to a law of civil unions, it took 15 years. So, I mean, the road to path to freedom is contradictory, difficult, and a long way almost everywhere in the world, with some illusion that we should stop. Remember, women don't vote for women, okay? Have we finally learned that yes or no? Because women are not a trade unions. We are not a category. Each one of us has a personal project, a political project which is different from yours, a different idea. So if you just look at the US or recently in other elections, it's proven that women don't vote automatically for women. Please remember it.
Is this the case in Amman? Do women vote for women or no?
Women don't vote automatically for women. That has been an illusion at the beginning of I talk for us, of the feminist movement in Europe, for instance. And it's proven that it's not true.
Emma, in 2004, month of January, you have organized the Regional Conference on Democracy, Human Rights, and the Role of the International Court, the first of an Arabic country. You are currently a board member of the Arab Democracy Foundation. You have published a series of policy papers consequently to have democracy in the Arab world.
Democracy is a process, and in so doing, everywhere there is things that have to be arranged. But it's also true that, as somebody much more important than me said once, democracy is the worst kind of government, excluded all the others, which is true. It's a complex system, but it has the possibility of changing itself. And sometimes it goes backward, for instance. Sometimes it moves forward. But it's really, but the division of power, for instance, it seems to me, a basis, the judiciary, the legislative, and the executive. The question that institutions have to be secular, allowing the religious
entities. Entities.
The religious belief of everybody practicing. See. So I think that there are the freedom of expression, for instance, the freedom of organization, of gathering together, the role of civil society. So without going in too much details, there are points that are yes or no, in my opinion.
How do you see things today? Are they moving onward or backward in the Arab world?
Depends. Depends. What kind of, also from the north, we look at the Arab world as an unicum, but which is not true. Tunisia or Jordan or Lebanon are not Saudi Arabia or I don't know, Kuwait.
In a talk you have given, you said you have made your farewell to dictatorships. Are you satisfied today with the new regimes in the Arab world?
Of some, yes. I think Tunisia, for instance, is making quite an effort of going forward. I think that slowly also Morocco is coming. I did not appreciate so much the events in 2013 in Egypt. I think that there are things moving, particularly in this country, slowly. Others are going backward. Yemen in 2006 was a possibility. Today it's totally destroyed. It's out of any question. But even Iran is moving forward, whatever the difficulties that you have. The question is that it's not a linear process. It's a contradictory one, where the society counts a lot. I do remember that when I landed in Cairo and I rented my first apartment, the Bawab could not believe of blonde. At that time I was blonde. Now I'm treating a cancer, so I don't have hair. They will come back anyhow. The Bawab asked me, good morning. The following week, he stopped me and asked me, when is your husband coming? I said, listen, I've been looking for an husband for more than 40 years. I'm not sure I can solve your problem next week. So the guy felt a little bit uneasy, but he didn't give up, but he adapted. So 2 weeks later, he stopped me again and said, well, so when is your boyfriend coming? I said, again, I've been looking for a boyfriend, for a stable boyfriend, let's say, for some time, and I couldn't find it. So he gave up, said, and so what are you doing here? No, I'm learning Arabic. Oh, no. You work at the Italian embassy. No. You work at the European Commission. No. You work at the United Nations, Muttaida. No. You are opening a pizzeria. No. So I'm just saying that because now all the pizzeria in Italy are run by Egyptians, by the way. No, the best pizza in Italy are made by Egyptians. So, no, this I'm just saying that the stereotyping from one side and the other side of the Mediterranean go very, very deep. When we think mostly of, people think of the Arab world, they think Saudi Arabia. And I make all my effort in saying, like Europe, countries are different one by one, like everywhere else. So it's not that you have to focus on this kind of thing, but it's very difficult. Stereotyping has taken so deep-rooted, at least in my continent.
You have mentioned Iran. You were the first Minister of Foreign Affairs from Europe to visit Iran. It was in December 13. Your trip was commended by those who favored a peaceful settlement of the disputes between Iran and the West. over Tehran's nuclear program. Hassan Rouhani has said his country will not allow Mr. Trump to tear up the landmark nuclear agreement with the West, as he warned that an extension of sanctions, which passed Congress last week, could be a violation of the deal. Do you think that a comprehensive agreement over the nuclear issue would finally happen or sustain?
Well, what I do think is that I made this decision to open up a little bit to Iran cautiously, without dreaming of I don't know what, after the election. Because I thought that that was a step that could prove workable in going forward. Unless you want to bomb Iran or anything else in the world, I think that dialogue, cautiously and a severe dialogue is better than going around bombing countries as we used to do, unfortunately. I should say, that is my opinion. And so I tried to, and I'm perfectly conscious that there is still terrible problems as far as women, as far as death penalty, as far as, and I also know that there is tension since ever between Sunni and Shia and etc. But I didn't think that a nuclear Iran was better than a strong dialogue with Iran. And I keep thinking that, and I hope that we will go forward. This part of the world has already so many problems, not to add another one, and we the same. So I hope that, that Trump, in any case, out of my experience, there are things that are said in the electoral campaign. When then you come to power, things become a little bit more difficult. So I hope that some sense will come in on both sides. I really hope that we will not risk again, because the priority is not to have another fight. The priority is to settle this region, which is already paying a price, terrible price, on human suffering, destruction, name it, with the interference of foreign power. And that is really unacceptable from the humanitarian point of view, and even more unacceptable that we just close the doors to people who are escaping this kind of violence.
Emma, you were diagnosed with cancer, and although not wanting to put an end to your political career or life, you said that your medical needs must be an absolute priority at the moment. And you added, I'm not my tumor, and nor are you your illnesses. We must only think that we are people that face a challenge that arises.
Yes.
You're a strong woman. How did you...
I didn't have choices. It's not, sometimes you are strong because you don't have choice.
How did you feed yourself with this power? How did you nurture the strength within you?
I think two things. I decided that I was not an expert of cancers, and I didn't want it to become. So I had a very good team of doctors. I made all my confidence on them. I became very disciplined. That in my life is quite an achievement. I also discovered that I can be patient, which is another discovery very important, which means that inside you, you can find a lot of energy that you don't even know that you have till the moment in which you have to use it. And I tried as much as I could to follow my only passion, which is politics. This kind of politics I was mentioning to you. And even if I had to slow down, I have the little mobility, sometimes I'm still fragile. The passion of trying to change the world around me is the only meaning of my life.
I still have one question. You said a woman must combine the role of mother, wife, and politician. I'm positive that flexibility is a feminine characteristic. You did not combine all those values and all those roles.
No, I didn't manage. So I don't have children, and nobody wanted seriously to marry me. So I didn't have that temptation.
Do you feel a gap in your life?
No, it's a choice.
Do you feel being a real woman?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Shall I prove it? Do I have to prove it? I don't know. Tell me if I have. No, I think that really, the last message I want to tell to all my friends. We, the women in the world, are all different. And this difference is our asset. Don't try to make the other women like you. Every one of us has his own project, his own love, his own desperation. And this diversity is our asset, is not our liability. Try to make this as strong as possible. Accept the other choices. Accept that other women think differently. Accept that you are fragile. Accept that, frankly, you are fragile from time to time.
Emma Bonino, you're an inspiration and a role model. Thank you.